Welcome to Nameless Debate Radio, where radioactivity is contagious. You can join us in broadening our minds on the Nameless Debates Discord via the link below and even feature here yourself, if you've got what it takes.
Fucking Teletubbies. Fuck.
Oh.
My brother used to watch
I don't know.
that
It used to
shit.
just be a thing. I don't know. I don't. The second you guys started talking about it, I remembered it as well.
It's a really old nursery rhyme.
Yeah, it's just
No,
really
yeah,
old.
we do it at camp a lot. Yeah, I don't. Was the Grand Old Duke of York like a fucking British officer or something? Or
Probably.
the Duke of York? We had. Oh, there's a shitload of camp songs that I now can't remember, of course, because I was trying to.
Yeah,
think
look, we know you're a little.
No, I'm just trying to
Kitty
think of
Fiddler?
fun
Yeah,
nursery rhymes.
Wait, we understand. You're a Mormon. You went to Kitty Fiddler camps. It's okay.
What do you know? I'm just what? I can't think of nursery rhymes. to tell you.
Wow.
You're not
If
interested.
you want to talk about the negative,
No, it's true though.
experiences you can.
He was a camp counselor, dude.
I still am.
Yeah, I believe it.
Oh, I don't know
I
if that is more or less concerning.
I know. I just lie. Like I just put on a mask when I go. I mean, it's not hard.
You know what? There's a funny thing, right? There's this project in America about this. It's called the Clergy Project, and it's really cool. And it's about all these people in like priests, like pastors, etc., that are basically trapped into the careers that they've got and no longer have faith.
I've seen that.
Oh yeah, I wonder
And
how.
there's tens of thousands of them in America that
Oh,
are
yeah.
part of this project where they anonymously like have this entire network of people who are just like, I literally don't believe in anything anymore, but I have no way to. If I try and get out of this, basically it's social death for me.
No,
I'll
it's
lose
like
my family. I'll lose
reverse
everything.
reverse nepotism.
Yeah. And it does make me wonder every time I interact with someone who's like are in these positions, because like yourself, you're just like, well, I just put on a mask. Exactly. How many of the what if the majority of people who are actually just putting on a mask?
No, I've thought of that constantly.
What if
I
it's a
wonder
whole
how-
like emperor's what is it, the Emperor's New Clothes mass delusion?
I thought you meant you put on like an actual mask before you fiddled the kids.
No, yeah, I put on a fucking Guy Fawkes.
No,
mask
but-
Yeah.
when I walked in.
But because whether or not it's the majority, there is functionally a level of emperor of mass delusion going on in terms of people are convinced, like they're convinced these people believe and these people don't believe. Like they're going to church every week to listen to someone who's functionally an atheist. They're just pretending not to be.
Oh yeah.
Isn't that? And they're predicating their belief on this, and it's mass delusion.
Yep.
Do you see?
Humans are pretty cool, eh?
Do you plan on stepping outside of it at some point, Hoovers? Because it doesn't sound like you will be as socially crippled as these people. By
Possibly. Like maybe like in the future when I move to like out of this town or something. Probably, but I'll probably still keep connections with them. You know?
But you understand, this is part of the trap.
Yeah, no, it's the thing is, I saw this a lot at camp. People would work for the camp as a volunteer service and then feel like working for the camp was a reward, so then they were somehow indebted to the church. They, it's
so
like,
this is kind of the point, right? These systems are set up partially so even if you don't religiously believe, you socially adhere to them, and it's a way of one ensuring that you will never push back against them, and two that there's a decent chance of the next generations. So if you keep participating in the model, there's a chance your kids will believe. Quite a high chance.
True facts.
well, no, I will tell them that I'm just fucking.
Yeah, I know, but you understand. Well, if you take them to church at all, that may be out of your control.
Yeah, I think the
Also,
Yeah,
what
church.
if you die?
If you
What if
put
you
them in
die?
that environment,
What
You
if
know-
you die and your family has to bring them up, dude?
Shit. Then I'll fucking.
well, that's a bit different.
That's
I mean,
a bit-
I'll have a will. I'll just be like, P.S. God doesn't exist in my will.
no, but quite seriously, right? Like, I understand that
Can
you're.
you
Probably
imagine
give
the
you,
fucking?
like,
Can you imagine
there's-
like the the lawyer reading that one out at the end of the room.
No, yeah, P.S.
There's a lot of belief systems which have,
It just had like a priest
I
praying
guess,
over your
self-perpetuating falsehoods inbuilt, right?
Mhm.
They're false, but they have such complex self-perpetuating systems inbuilt to them that they won't die. Or it's taking them a
Dude,
long fucking time to die.
I gotta make myself into an elaborate belief system.
You're gonna make yourself into an elaborate belief system.
You're gonna do an L. Ron Hubbard.
So it takes me ages to die. Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
Well, do you know what? In one sense of death, that is actually the case in sync.
I know.
Okay, here's the thing.
I used to think like that.
Are you familiar with the what is it? Is it the Mexican or Spanish? What, that old concept of death that was
the
like
idea, yeah, like when you really die when you die in the minds of everybody who knew you.
yes.
No, yeah, because
And
someone will
the last
take your
time
name
that would-
or think of you for the last time after you die.
Yeah.
The last time your name is spoken is like the last time you die.
Yeah, that was like when I was trying to figure out what identity was, that was like one of the things that I thought for a bit, was that identity is what you think of yourself and what other people think of you.
Also, Julie, did you call my camp tiddly fiddly?
Probably.
I didn't call that. Anything called that.
Okay. One thing, I wasn't even
It's better
talking
than,
about the
like,
Mormon
Camp
church there.
Crystal
I was
Lake.
just talking about nursery rhymes. You brought
I know, but I happen to know you're camp counselor. So.
right, and it's fun. Here's where they get you social.
It is
the camp
rewarding.
itself,
It
very
does feel like
rewarding.
a
It's
vacation.
fun. It is fun to go out and do summer camp shit like capture the flag, all the fun activities. I taught fishing class. I was a assistant lifeguard. I helped teach canoeing. Things
Do
like
they
that,
still
and
play
that's
British
actually
Bulldog?
very, very fun.
You are aware of the statistical stigma that comes with camp counselors and certain activities that has been.
Oh, I know. No, here's the
In the
thing. When they were going through classes, they actually mentioned, they were like, all right, now listen, everyone's so happy nowadays. And you have to be
Never
careful.
be left alone with the children.
No, yeah, they said.
Everyone's not just too happy. A bunch of kids got fiddled with by camp counselors.
No, yeah. And they were like, never go anywhere alone with the kids. Make sure you're never, ever, 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 ever anywhere alone with the kids. Like, make sure there's another counselor there or another kid there, so they can never say that you did something that you can't, like, that it's your word, it's just your word versus. Which that I think is a good idea, because then it,
Well, it is, because generally an adult in that situation should not be alone with the children. In almost, like, they just shouldn't be.
No, yeah.
Yeah, Hoovers.
Especially like
yeah.
No, yeah.
And when it was allowed to happen. No, but Hoovers, and that when it was allowed to happen, those abuses occurred.
Yes. No, I agree. It's a very good policy.
Yeah.
They used to have rifle rangery or archery rifle ranges, fucking things like that.
They
took those away. No, yeah, they.
Of course they did, because
archery. I think archery is acceptable, but like fucking rifle ranges for kids.
The rifle.
Yeah, rifle ranges they didn't have till senior high camp, which was like high school level kids. But then
that's the NRA.
We're sponsored by. Our insurance is paid for now by the World Church, and the World Church kind of comes by and says, "All right, you can't do this stuff because it's too expensive to insure you if you do that stuff." What religion were you growing up, Julius? Or were your parents atheists?
Roasted.
Okay, I didn't hear anything.
Wait, who asked me what? Sorry, I was not listening.
I asked what
if you were in
is
particular
faith?
religion.
No, because I'm not a retard.
No, I meant when you were growing up.
That's a bigger.
No, because because I wasn't a retard and wasn't raised retardedly.
No, because all other children are retarded little spastics, but I wasn't.
No, they were raised poorly. See, I wasn't. I was never. My family wasn't particularly religious. My mum has a personal faith. My mum kind of doesn't even really have a faith. She vaguely believes in the concept of a possibility of a high power, but that's it. No particular religion. So basically a deist. My stepdad, who's basically my parent forever, he says that football's his fucking religion. So, I was functionally raised without belief. I had some grandparents that tried to influence me, but that was never particularly influential. I came to my own conclusions.
He never learned to reject Satan.
Yeah, I was never indoctrinated into this nonsense.
I wasn't indoctrinated, but my parents were Christian.
And Hoovers, you will find out that in many, many modern Australian children, their parents are not particularly religious. They are not raised to be particularly religious.
It is difficult because they do get you in this trap, where you grow up at this summer camp and you grow up going to Mormon church and all of your friends.
Yeah, Australians just stay home and do bongs.
Yeah, well, you see, here's the thing.
We don't get that.
Julius talks about nepotism. Nepotism is like hardcore going in the Mormon church. Like, someone will be going through college, and you'll talk to, I don't know, your pastor at church who maybe owns a local printing company. You go, oh, I can put a good word in for you. You might be able to get a job out there.
And you understand, the more people play into nepotism, like it self-perpetuates, right? And the more people, and so you need people to check out of the system to break nepotism. But everyone, because they're so self-driven that they will keep it's self-perpetuating, and it's horrible.
It's a bit of a
because then if you pull out, then you face all of that only in the reverse sense. They might actually not like they might. Well, they will.
Exactly, they punish you.
You excommunicated from the Mormon church.
Exactly. That is kind of disgusting, is it not?
No, it is. It's 100%.
It is. But then you wouldn't have to interact with Mormons again.
But you don't get to interact with your family or your friends anymore either.
Yeah, I know. I know.
Luckily,
you understand.
my family is very nice. My sister actually came out as an atheist like a number of years ago, and my father was like, "Yeah, I don't care. You can be whatever you want." My mother, on the other hand, was very fucking terrible about it. But that's why
you understand,
It's
right?
probably because your father doesn't believe in it.
Hoovers, you do know that what is happening generationally, and
doesn't care enough,
like,
to believe.
So probably I think it's suggested by 2026, Australia will be something like 40+% irreligious.
I thought they were already a majority irreligious.
Well, no, there's a largest minority, so right, it's something between.
I wonder what the numbers are after you account.
Probably has to do with
I can show you the census data on it, and it's been from 1986 to 2016, it went from about 11 to 13% to about 32 to 36%.
No, I'm wondering what it is after you account for the clergymen who don't. What was the term for it?
And that's the point, right? So,
Australia has to import clergymen.
Yeah, we actually don't produce any. We don't produce locally. Literally, people don't believe enough.
Did I?
We have to import Catholic priests. It's silly.
Did I tell you about the man who came to the camp who said there's no way a person can survive in a whale for 3 days, and people started screaming and barged out.
That's fantastic.
Right, so and this is the fundamental difference between religiosity in America and Australia, and I think also in Europe. I think Australia and Europe are quite similar on this. This is partially because we didn't get the religious refugees from Europe during the time of religious turmoil. They all went to America because of that wonderful fucking constitution of yours. That being said, segues aside, 92% of our religious people
I think you mean
don't actually go to
tangents aside.
church. What's that?
I think you mean tangents aside.
Yeah, whatever. So, only 8% of actual Christians in Australia go to church once a month or more. 8% out of the ones that are there. So what they do is they call themselves culturally Christian or culturally Catholic. They tick a box. They will go to churches for things like weddings and funerals, and that's it. That is probably 60 to 70% of our religious population right there, Hoovers. They literally don't care, and it doesn't really apply past a vague cultural identity. Hello?
No, yeah, I'm listening. I'm also.
Yeah, I'm just saying, do you understand? So these days when people are raising their kids, they don't actually take them to church. Even the religious parents just don't go to church. They don't. they vaguely believe. They might say, "Oh, I think a God exists," but they don't. That's it.
No,
That's
they're not active anymore, and I think
there
we've
is.
evolved as a point of as human beings that we don't need church anymore. We don't need a God to have a direction in life.
Look, there are a group that do, but they are becoming a
I don't
minority.
know.
Okay,
I'm not
a
sure if it's
Christian
as
God.
simple as that. I don't think it's as simple as that, Hoovers.
A Christian God. How about that?
No, I don't think it's like. I think that the advent of science and technology in the modern age makes God kind of implausible. But I think that the thing that people used to get from God, which is like that feeling of direction and higher purpose, that's actually something that the secular societies have struggled to
No,
replicate
we
or
can
replace.
get it with other things, and we already are getting
No,
it
but
with.
we struggle to emulate it properly, man.
But to be honest,
So
like
I'm
it
giving
has
people
had
too much credit.
thousands of years to build up in sync, and we've had what, like basically less than 100 to deconstruct it.
No, I agree,
We
and
barely
I'm
had
not
50
saying
years to really replace those
I'm not saying
institutions.
we won't. What I'm saying is that Hoover said that we'd evolved beyond needing,
Yeah.
that kind of thing, and I don't
Yeah,
think
which
that's
I
actually
disagree
true.
with Hoover's, but I think it's such a vacuous point. It gets raised all the time. Oh well, secular society hasn't replaced it. That has thousands of years of culture and tradition. It's going to take time to transition.
No, but the point that I was making was that, although we haven't replaced it yet, we will. I think we will. It's just that we haven't evolved
I think
past
it's
needing.
we already have. I mean, I literally treat. I mean, many Australians I think treat sport in the same way they used to treat religion.
Yeah, but I mean, like, as someone who has a conceptualization of meaning which is like a secular version of religion, I don't think sport really compares, man.
I think it does. I think functionally things like going to that club every week, like 3-4 times a week, participating in that community. You know what I mean? Like actually, it actually gives people a drive.
But
Like
there are other, but
they
there are
spend
other
50 to
parts of
60 years
religion
of
that
their
are
life
not.
dedicating their life to
Yes.
this thing,
No, but
and it gives them purpose.
there are other aspects of religion which are not being emulated at all in that paradigm.
I don't see what ones.
Can I ask?
It gets everything from tribal to emotional support.
I don't think we've
Okay.
really lost anything. I really don't.
Well, I think
Hey,
that
there we go.
the popularity of nihilism in the last couple of centuries speaks to people's loss of a feeling of direction.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, but that's because
it's less.
I was gonna say direction is self-create, and yeah. So, but the thing is, like, it's But I think a lot of these people engaging in these other areas aren't suffering that nihilism you're speaking of at all.
Oh, I don't know if that's true, man.
Well, I genuinely do not see that to be the case. It's generally people who aren't participating in the institutions that do kind of replace these
There's
things.
more to
Are
life
suffering
than
nihilism.
sport, though, and the fact
No,
that you can have
I
the
didn't say there isn't. Okay, so
no,
one, I'm
but
saying
the
sport is but
community
one thing.
engagement. Right, like that's mainly what you're talking about is like the feeling of like having that connectedness with like people who all care about the same thing. But I'm saying like there's a lot of like self-reflection and realization that comes along with religion, which isn't touched by sport at all.
Um, I don't necessarily think that's the case, and I think largely
I think historically that's demonstrable, or as you would say, demonstrable.
that's nice.
Come on, dude, it's just a joke.
But I mean, I
Am I
don't.
not allowed to respond with contempt?
You could just laugh, dude.
Nah, contempt's funnier to me. I'd be like, nah, you just fucking. I hold you in contempt. You're a potato. What should I just respond? I don't know. Like, it's not that
Dude,
like it doesn't upset
you,
me, but I'm just gonna like be like,
I
okay.
prefer you calling me a potato. That was pretty funny.
If I was really mean, I'd call you a lettuce.
These have some nutritional value.
What's that?
Potatoes have some nutritional value.
No, yeah, but I guess it's a weird insect meme. So like, they do, but they barely do.
I know.
And also, it's kind of like a Pokemon reference because everyone knows that Bulbasaur was the worst Pokemon, and if you pick them, that you're basically a retard.
Yep. I don't think we've really gained. I don't think it's a loss of meaning. No, with religion, I don't think it's a loss of meaning. I think there's like other reasons for why we see what we see. One is just the increased size of society, right? I think even if you had a theocracy, once that theocracy is starting to cover hundreds of millions of people, it starts to become very difficult to really be channeling meaning through to everyone. It becomes a lot worse when that society.
Look, I don't disagree with that, but I don't feel like it's reasonable to like exclude the Age of Enlightenment from an analysis like this. Like the fact that the systems that we've built, which work best, were all constructed by people who did not believe in the traditional way. You know what I mean?
Course.
Like yeah.
So I think what's kind of going on, and I meant to get to it. It's not just size; it's more than this. So it is. When we like value reason and individual reason, right? That gets put at the front, as opposed to institution and hierarchy, then reason doesn't come from above, from someone higher in the system, or from a god. Real like meaning and purpose come from within, and that's a much harder fight, right? So if you lived in an ancient theocracy, you could simply ask your priest, right? Post Enlightenment, right? You can't do that anymore. Religious authorities are not valid authorities. Right? The only person who could give you meaning is yourself, through reason. And that's why it is that I think you naturally see that loss of meaning, but it's kind of like a consequence of the abandonment of a hierarchy, which may have been useful.
No, but
in this kind of weird sense, if you wish.
I feel like that's what I was saying before there.
Yeah, and I think of the world, I hate Godwin's law, but Hitler's a great demonstration of a way you can ascribe meaning from above to a people, right? You can always do that. We have many authoritarian type leaders who can inscribe meaning from above. Chinese government is arguably able to do this without even religious basis, right? This is just a question of authority and hierarchy. The only problem is when you ask some people to like give you meaning, they don't really give you something that's rational. They give you what they want themselves, right? Somebody justifies their position in society and your lower position in society, that kind of stuff. I don't really think we've lost anything as a result. I think we've just kind of evolved closer to reality and realizing that apart from someone telling you what the meaning is and you just accepting that on faith, there really isn't much.
No, I would agree with that, but I think that being told the meaning was enough for some people, and those people now are left without something that they might have had before.
It seems like people are traveling away from fundamentalism, and they're creating their own meaning in religion.
Well, they're traveling away. I think it's even more basic than that. It's not necessarily a question of religion. So statism can also function in this form as well, right? You can have such a strong belief in the state that it becomes this thing that tells you how to live your life,
So like a form of radicalized nationalism?
Yeah, you can do this through a variety of approaches. It's all still the same, like this top-down authority that says, like, you don't need to fuss about figuring out your personal life philosophy, or you don't need to worry about philosophy in the individual level. Here's the collective authoritative account of why you should do this, that, live this way, and what matters.
That's why it's so easy to just control people while they're young. Form a very authoritarian government through learning.
Yeah. If you want instinct, this is the cost of having everyone participate in philosophy as opposed to having an elite, right? If you just have an elite that is allowed, if you had an elite,
I'm not
like
saying it's a bad thing. I'm not saying it's a bad thing when I say it's a loss, but I am saying that, like I said, those people who previously would have had something now don't.
Well,
maybe we can say that now they are lost and they might come to find something they wouldn't have had before, but some of them don't.
Sure. I avoid describing in terms of loss, gain, or what people have or don't have. All I'm going to say is that when you move from a system where they are distinctive philosophical authorities to a philosophy being more a personal pursuit, things change. And when it comes to stuff like the meaning of life, when there's no kind of clear authority, then some people find themselves having to work. They don't necessarily like that work.
Some people find themselves completely disoriented when it comes to that question, and they become nihilists.
What happened now?
I don't. Yeah, I mean that happens, but I think that's kind of the result
Hey,
of.
Hoobus,
What?
what do you think of nihilism?
Might have been pretty wrecked on nihilism.
but
No, I mean Midnight.
but-
Midnight talked to me about this. Like, what is it?
yeah, I know.
Netcheck talked about how nihilism is kind of a phase, and then you kind of have to create your own not objective morals, but your own like morals in life, or your own goals, kind of.
That's existentialism.
Maybe it's just a
Yes.
necessary step away from this, and we will see it very much fade away in the next
Yeah.
Would
few
you agree?
generations.
For sure.
Would you agree
For
it's
sure,
a
but
healthy step that you have to go through that phase?
I think it's necessary as opposed to healthy.
I would say that it can. I would say that nihilism is. No, it's not the same thing, but it's like getting depressed, right? There's nothing actually inherently bad about getting depressed transiently. In fact, it can serve a very potent survival benefit, right? The point of depression is actually something that's evolutionary advantageous. It gets someone to slow down, reconsider. Right?
Someone just
Useful.
Our
No.
life is meaningless, dude.
Did you hear that? What the fuck was that?
Depression's similar.
Terrence, do not stop talking yet. I'm trying to listen to Midnight.
So yeah, depression. I think that nihilism is something similar, right? I think it actually serves a genuine benefit when it isn't prolonged, when you don't get jammed in that phase. I can see why it is that people do get jammed in that phase, right? It's sort of like, I'd almost describe it as chronic nihilism is the thing that's bad. But acutely, it can be a positive.
I think that anything in that sense is a positive, in that negatives reorient you towards positives. But I think that like when you have a negative experience, you can say that was a positive because you can derive positives from anything, basically.
Oh, not that you can. I'm almost making a slightly more ambitious claim, saying that depression, acute depression, is a positive. Right? Not that it can be positive. It actually serves
I
a
don't think
benefit.
that's necessarily the
right?
case. Like, I agree that serves a benefit, but I'm saying I don't believe the net claim is justifiable because acute depression can result in loss of job, loss of life. You know what I mean? Like, you don't necessarily get a net benefit from it, dude.
Net benefits rare to actually say that we're best off, right? So any particular individual may not derive benefit, but on the whole, as our species, I don't think that depression's I think that it actually serves a positive benefit in terms of our long-term collective survival.
It serves a positive purpose, like as in like it's evolved for a reason. But I don't think that you can support the claim that it is like a positive overall.
I'm saying that that's what it is, right? That kind of overall collective.
I don't think you can discount the experience of it, which is quite terrible, right? First of all, like you feel really bad, and second of all, like I said, you could lose your job. That can be really, really bad for you. You know, you can have long-term terrible effects from an acute depression.
So I'm not saying that it's like homogenous. I'm not saying that everyone who experiences depression acutely ends up better. But I'm saying that as a whole, for our species, depression probably exists as a feature because it is. If you had two individuals, one who doesn't have the capacity to feel depressed and one who does, it appears that perhaps the one who does ends up with a survival benefit. And maybe that's not moral benefit. Maybe that's not benefit in terms of pleasure, right? You're not necessarily happier at the instance of being acutely depressed. But it remains that it is still evolutionary advantageous. Right? And I think that's why we have those capacities. Potentially, all our negative emotions are such things. Right? They exist.
I agree with that. They have evolutionary advantages that they confer upon us.
At the moment of experience for any given individual, we can't say too much about whether it will be net positive for that particular individual. However, the existence of the attribute for us, particularly having been the subject of evolution for a large number of years, means that it's probably there and serves a kind of function, as opposed to it just being entirely negative, for example, right? Maladaptive, if you wish.
Yeah, and I would.
But I was saying that I say that in terms of philosophy, I mean something more than. In terms of philosophy, I see nihilism in kind of the same light. It will not always be positive for every single person that experiences.
Here's what I think. I think that philosophy may not. Nihilism may not be a maladaptive philosophy because it is a process that benefits you because it reorients you. But I think that nihilism is a maladaptive coping strategy to the world, and that is how it often comes about in people.
Yeah, sure. Whichever way you wish to describe it, I describe it as a state. What I'm fascinated by is what people then do. After, say, the initial provocation to be nihilist, or the initial nihilistic thoughts, what is it that we then do about those? And some people just stay there. They don't really have any momentum beyond that point.
Most of the time, you delve into nihilism like after you've lost some of your morals or you've lost your moral direction. Like mine was after I dropped out of my church. Kind of was like, oh, wow, we're all gonna fucking stop existing when we die. There's no point to life. Yada yada.
Exactly. There's some kind of provocation. You end up in nihilism. What fascinates me then is the question of why some people don't get stuck in nihilism. Some don't. Some do. It's just fascinating to me why that happens. To me personally, I think that some people are actually able to tolerate the absence of absolutes, right? So even though there isn't a moral absolute foundation, they're fine. They continue to function. They actually are happy function. They can function just fine off moral relativism, or variety of it.
I can.
That feels like sort of a shallow analysis. Sure, you can live fine, but you'll probably do some stuff you probably wouldn't do if you weren't thinking that way.
Like what?
Well, you might not be as fair when you're treating other people, for instance. If morals are relative, you should probably be a bit more selfish.
Well, you can acknowledge like breaches of social contract and things like that. You know, like breaching social contract might affect your relationship with that human being, and that might be bad for you in the future. You might
yes,
be
of
rejected.
course, but it's not really wrong. That's a consequentialist analysis.
And I don't think it needs to be really wrong or right. So the point is that, someone like me,
something being really wrong or right, which is where a Christian or a Mormon is coming from, right? It's not really a moral thing if it's not really wrong or right.
Yeah. Wait. No. It is a moral thing. It just doesn't have right or wrongness in the absolute sense. It has it in the relative sense.
But that's what I mean, is that if morals are relative, that's just your opinion that it's not a good thing to do.
It's not necessarily just your opinion, though. I mean,
but that is what it is.
No, that's subjective.
What if I said morals are relative? What if I said morals are relative to moral consensus?
Yeah. So that is a way out, for example, right? So a lot of relativists are relative to something. They're often relative to social codes, right? Those things are not personally determined. It's like saying that
no moral relativist who says that their allegiance lies in the social code is actually loyal to the social code.
How so?
Because obviously we're individuals. All of us do shit that's against the moral code all the time. People speed, people drink drive, people steal, people lie.
We don't. As far as moral analysis goes, we usually analyze that independent of actual behavior. So, for example, you can make a very valid argument that, say, something like murder is wrong, right? And you could be a murderer. But that you are a murderer does not invalidate the moral argument.
Actually, that you are a murderer invalidates the proposition that you genuinely believe the moral argument.
No, you could genuinely believe it.
No, you couldn't.
It wouldn't make any difference.
You believe that what you're doing is morally bad and it's a violation of the moral contract.
No, you can't. You cannot do something that you believe is bad.
I disagree. I think you can do something that you believe is bad.
You can't.
Entirely.
the fact that you did it proves that you weren't quite sure whether or not it was bad. Because if it really was bad, you wouldn't be willing to do it.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, I don't subscribe to the idea that all of what we do is in fact rational, right? I don't think we are actually rational agents.
Well, I do
think
think
that
that people are
yeah.
rational agents.
I take the Kahnemanish view of human beings and say that half or the majority of the time we run on autopilot because we
No,
do.
but that's
right?
not irrational though.
No,
Like
no.
there's a
Yes,
rationality
but
to your animal part.
yeah,
Like
there is, but it's not
the bit
under
of you that
control.
no, but the bit of you that hungers, that craves, that is rational too. It's just not rational in the
Yes,
same sense.
indeed, but it's not rational to a code because it's not under conscious control.
Well, no,
right?
it's rational to the
So,
code of you.
one could-
That's what I mean. The trick
Yes, yes.
is figuring out where the code of you is like your animal and where the code of you is the bit of you that thinks, and
Right.
like figuring out like whether or not other people's thinking code actually governs your behavior. Because what I said before, and I stand by it, is that people who say that their morals are relative to the intersubjective consensus are fucking liars. They have all sorts of moral beliefs that don't line up with the consensus.
Of course they don't. I'm not saying that. Like, I mean, they're not being honest. They report that that is what they are doing. They're not being wrong if they report that is what we ought to do. Right? There's a difference here. There's a difference in what it
But that's
is
not
that
what
you
they're
think is
saying.
right
They're not
and what it
saying
is that you are doing.
No, but they're not saying this is what I think we should do. They're saying this is what I do.
Right. So I'm not necessarily a descriptive. So when it comes to relativism, there's two branches that get conflated with each other, right? There's descriptive moral relativism, which is saying that this is what we are doing, and then there's normative moral relativism, which is saying this is what we ought to do. And the difference between descriptive and normative ethics is that descriptive ethics has the burden of lining up with what it is that we are doing, whereas normative ethics actually doesn't have that burden. So what makes it really fascinating is you can have normative ethics that is kind of well formed and everyone agrees is normative, and yet it's not descriptive. And you can have the opposite. You can have descriptive ethics that isn't acceptably normative. You know that, right?
Yeah, but I'm not too sure how that comes into the nihilism debate.
So, wait, nihilism. I would say that nihilism I'm treating in a descriptive sense. So someone like Hoovis in particular is like a nicely traditional example, right? So they simply have loss of a prior moral framework, and in the absence of a moral framework, they are, in fact, moral nihilists, at least transiently. Some people stay there, some people don't. Right? That would be descriptive, not normative. Right? This is not the argument that you should do these things. It's the argument that you do these things.
But I think what I'm saying is that you don't do these things because even a nihilist doesn't act like they don't care.
They're morally nihilistic, but they may still have intuitions, instincts, so on.
No, morally is in how they act. They do not act like they don't care.
They don't.
If I go to Brand,
caring. Look, I've long maintained that stuff like empathy.
Matters,
I say
like
stuff like
significance.
Yeah. So
Nihilism
I agree.
refers to significance, right?
Yeah. So it's saying that moral. I'm talking about moral nihilism, not like
No, but
nihilism.
moral is what you ought to do. No, morality is what you ought to do, dude. So
So they'll still continue to act, right? It's just that if you were to ask the person, descriptively speaking,
but why do they continue
don't subscribe.
Like that's what I'm saying is their behavior contradicts that.
Right. I think PSR is full of bullshit. Like I straight up, principle of sufficient reason. Like I don't count. Yeah. So for example,
that's complete fuck, dude. Principle of sufficient reason is like
it's straight up bullshit, man. Like you don't need reason. Like
no, that's not what I mean.
Wait.
Rational. It's not about rationality.
Wait, hang on. It's not rationality. It's the core principles itself, right? Nothing happens without reason. Bullshit.
Yes, without a sufficient
actually bullshit. No.
Yes.
Absolute hell no. No.
That is completely true.
Dude, no. Is that to me, like yeah, I'm serious. It's not uncommon.
I can't even believe you're saying this to me. You're saying that you
Dude,
don't think
it's not
the principle
uncommon.
of sufficient reason is true.
Yes, it's not uncommon.
You're blowing my mind, Midnight.
No, yeah, but I realize that that's what you're drawing on, right? If you have PSR, then sure, we are always
Yes.
more like there'll always be a morality because there must be one,
Well,
right?
I think yes. No, but I feel like
Yeah.
in morality, you're almost conflating PSR because PSR is more of like an ontological statement. In the context of morality, reason becomes kind of ambiguous because what reason means when it comes to action is different to what
No,
reason means
if
when it
as
comes
long
to
as you
cause.
have, as long as we are actors acting according to something, right? There will be an explanation for that something, and if there is an explanation for why for that something, it will be called morality, right? Unless, of course, we can act without any basis for that action,
Yeah, but
yeah,
that doesn't make any sense.
or at least any moral basis. So,
No,
like,
but
if I can demonstrate one
any
action that
basis
has no
for action.
moral,
No. Any basis for action is a moral basis by definition. Because if you had not, like, if it was not true that you ought to act in that way, you would not have done so.
no, I think that conflates something. I think we can act outside of ought. So, like, for example, right?
But
You can have the moral, you can have the moral ought that one should not kill, and yet kill.
No,
Right?
but
This
you
does not mean that
That's
the
what I'm
ought
saying.
does
No,
not
stop,
exist.
stop, stop. I'm saying whether or not you kill is what determines whether or not you have that ought, not the other way around.
Right. Okay. So that's to me. That's I understand where you're coming from, and it's fine because I've used that to attack moral before. It's just a different argument, not necessarily one I accept, but I understand it. It's called the all things considered ought. Prior to any form of action by an actor in all possible worlds, right? There should be an ought. It's the all things considered ought, right? Everything After everything has been considered, there will be a final ought. Then you act, right? If you say that that final ought is moral, then we are always moral,
We're
right? Everything
always,
that
yeah, of
acts
course.
is moral. Yeah.
No, but what I'm saying is that, like, the study of morality is trying to figure out what the difference is between good action and bad action, and I'm saying that that's why the pragmatic theory of truth has such a hold on society today, because most of the difference is whether or not it lines up with what's good for you, but that's not all the difference.
The pragmatic theory of truth has its grip because science works. I have a cough.
No, but that's not why that's yes, I agree. That's part of how it became compelling. But that's not why it holds the sway today.
No, I actually think that it's the exact wrong reason. The problem with pragmatism, right, is that pragmatism eventually erodes morality. Because they both are explanatory with regard to why we act, right? A pragmatic actor is not a moral actor, and vice versa. A moral actor is not a pragmatic actor, particularly when you consider that pragmatism is typically aligned to self-interest, right? I was talking to Cam about this, right? If you were to just act in your self-interest, no matter how enlightened that self-interest, you are fundamentally acting to your own self-interest. Right? There's no reason why we should universalize your morals to any other actor.
I don't think we're understanding each other. But I have to go because my mate's here. We should
Yeah, I gotta
continue
go
this
too.
like
Some other
later
time.
tonight.
But
Yeah,
I
yeah.
do disagree with the PSR, and that's going to change a lot of things really quickly.
Well,
Um,
I'm gonna wreck you on that one, man.
I don't think you're going to wreck me because it's like it's fairly modern, and you'll find
We'll
that
see.
it's true of anyone who draws on Kant.
I
It's
feel
Kant
like
itself.
you. No. I feel like you are like taking the principle of sufficient reason out of the realm that I'm using it. I use it ontologically.
No, not on. Yeah, no, it doesn't matter. I think that it itself is dumb.
Spinoza. That's how I use the principle of sufficient reason.
Yeah, I don't use in any of its forms.
Yeah, but
All of
the
its forms
Spinoza,
are retarded.
the Spinozan form is dead on.
No, all of its forms are retarded, as far as I can.
In order for something to exist, it has to have a sufficient justification therein. That is
Yeah,
true.
even that's retarded to me. Like that
That's not
implies
retarded to you.
teleology and so on. It's
No,
retarded. It's like
no. You're misunderstanding justification, not subjective justification, right? Like there has to be rules that dictate that such must be the case.
no, I disagree that there has to be rules that dictate such is must be the case. The thing
Well,
exists.
otherwise,
Its
something else
existence.
would be the case.
No, not
Like,
necessarily.
so let me give you an example. The rules of physics are what dictate that this must be the case. And if the rules of physics did not exist, or these rules of physics did not exist, something else would be the case.
Okay, to
No.
be fair, science
Hell no.
cannot explain
Yes.
everything. It can.
No, absolutely. I disagree because I don't
That
think the
is
laws
true,
of science
Mr.
are. Wait, I don't think the laws of science are in any sense prescriptive. They're descriptive. It's the other way around. The relationship is such that.
No, but I'm saying they're descriptive of something that is prescriptive.
Right. So what would be different? It's not that, like, say the laws of gravity were different, gravity would not exist. If
I
gravity
didn't
were
say
different, the
that,
laws of
though.
gravity would be different. Right?
Yes, but I didn't. I said I said where this system of physics doesn't exist at all, and a different system of physics with different types of variables exists. Right? That's what I was saying. I wasn't saying like where physics is just in general doesn't exist, so gravity doesn't exist.
What? No. I'm
If
saying that.
there were a different system of physics, then that system of physics prescribes what kind of matter there can be, and then is later described by any consciousness that arises from the matter.
I just find it kind of ridiculous that you're comparing science to morality. Pretty interesting.
No, it's just the PSR that underlines some of instincts that I don't use. I don't use it. So. It's sometimes called.
The principle of sufficient reason beats the shit out of causality, my dude.
It really shouldn't. Holy shit!
really
Why should it beat
does,
the shit out of causality?
Because causality, what's the word? Terminates at the edge of space-time.
Of course it does.
Yes, and the principle of sufficient reason doesn't. It's acausal.
No.
Yes,
that's
it
the
is
problem with it,
acausal,
right?
by definition.
I know it's acausal, and that's why it's retarded.
That's not a problem. That's not a problem.
No, that's
how
actually.
it works.
No, that's a problem because that makes.
It's called a formal cause.
That's why I hate it. I don't like formal causes.
Wait, I'm sorry. You have a problem with Aristotle as well, do you?
Yes, I do. I said that before. Aristotle was also retarded. Like, the four causes are great, right? Hang on. Material and efficient causes are fine. Formal causes, final causes are retarded. Holy shit! Like, they exist.
That doesn't even make any sense. Like, are you saying that things exist because space is empty? What the fuck?
Why would I say that? In what sense does that make sense?
The only other thing you're saying is that things don't exist because if there's no formal cause,
it doesn't matter. No, it is patently obvious.
Wait, no, listen. If
it is empirically obvious that things exist. No, I don't need formal cause.
I don't care. Give me a deduction. If there's no formal cause, justify how there are things.
Wait, why would I need to justify it? It is already obvious that things exist.
You're holding two contradictory propositions. I'm saying if we accept things exist, the formal cause is undeniable, and if you deny the formal cause, I'm asking you to justify the fact that things exist. Like
No, I don't believe in the whole system of asking for there to be formal causes.
I didn't ask if you believed. I didn't ask if you believed in that. I asked you to justify simply the fact that things exist.
Yes, we empirically observe it to be the case.
No, that's the justification of your proposition. I asked to justify the fact.
You asked me, do things exist?
No. I'm not asking you to justify your proposition. I'm asking you to justify the state.
What state?
The state that there are things that exist. The fact of the matter.
Look around you. Look around you. Like, I don't need an argument.
You are justifying me reaching the conclusion. I'm asking you to justify
do you know which? Okay. I'll ask you a simple question. I'll ask you a simple question.
Wait. Not the conclusion that the state is the case, right?
Yeah.
The state itself. Not the reasoning.
What the hell?
Not the reasoning that would lead one to conclude that such is the case, right?
Yes.
The process by which such is the case.
It is the case because it is the case. Look around you.
Wait a minute. That's a tautology, dude. That wasn't an answer.
Yes, it is. It's an absolute.
No, that's not an answer. That's a Christian. That's a Christian response, dude. God is that He is that He is.
No, it isn't.
That's what they say. God is.
Do you empirically observe God?
No, that's what they say. They say.
When's the last time you talked to God?
Listen, dude, you said things are because they are.
When was the last time you've talked to God, shook hands with God, or seen Him?
Listen, you're like making a fallacy out of the argument. Okay, I
As
asked
are
you
you,
for.
and I'm just pushing it because it hurts, isn't it?
I asked you for an explanation
It is
of
empirically the
how.
case.
No,
Look,
no.
around you, you can see there could be a
Wait. You
world.
ready? Are you ready? You ready? Okay, so
Okay.
if I asked you for your explanation of the conclusion and how you can justify reaching your conclusion, that would be a sufficient answer, okay? So that's
Yes,
question
I don't
one.
believe in the
No,
PSR. It's not necessary.
Stop. That's question one. Question one is how do you sufficiently justify the conclusion? Now, question two is not question one. Don't respond to question one again. Question two is what process makes it such that the result is equivalent to your proposition. What's the process objectively?
I just need you to understand something. Before you make your arguments, you're premising that the PSR is true, right? That I need to give sufficient reason. And the answer to that is I don't have that premise.
I'm not saying that it is necessarily the case. I'm saying, please try to answer my fucking question. Okay?
Why should I? I don't have the PSR. You're asking me to answer. You're asking me to play the premise I don't accept.
So you're saying then that you do not have an answer. Is that accurate?
No. I'm saying I don't accept your premise. Your premise is unacceptable.
I'm not asking about my premise.
I'm not a pre-sup. I'm not going to pre-sup your I'm not going to pre-sup
I'm not presupposing it. I'm just asking you a question. I'm just asking you a question.
No. Go ahead, ask your question, but realize that it is presupposing the PSR. That's what you're doing.
So I'm asking question two. I'm not asking
question one.
No. Okay. I'm asking question two. I'm allowed to ask what I want. I'm not asking question one.
Yeah.
So, what process makes it such that the outcome is that there are things?
Nothing, because there is no sufficient. There's not necessarily a reason for the existence of things.
So there's no process.
No. You need to tell me why there needs to be a process.
No, I'm
why
just
does
asking.
There need to be a process?
I'm asking, where do you get the proposition? You just made a positive proposition.
In sync.
You said there doesn't need to have. You said there doesn't need to be one.
Right, and that to me is just a null hypothesis, right? So I don't need evidence. Listen.
It was positive.
The argument that
you said
things that exist the argument that everything that formal causes must exist is itself a positive claim. If I deny that they exist positive claims, right? It is incumbent on you to at least give me one argument to why it is that they do.
But listen, I already gave that argument. That's what the first half of the bit that we were talking
that you're skipping over, and you really just didn't give any argument at all. You just said that it is the case, and that you find it absurd that it could be otherwise.
What I'm looking for now, mate, is to see if you can give me the answer, okay? I think there's an answer.
I cannot give you evidence of absence.
Okay, there we go. Stop. So it sounds like you did just admit you can't answer my question.
No, I can't give you evidence of absence. I cannot
I'm not asking for evidence of absence. Can you answer? Listen. Don't rephrase me. I want a yes or a no. That's the only thing you're allowed to say, okay? I asked the question. The question was, what is the process by which it becomes the case that there are things, okay? How is it that there are things? What's the process ontologically? Now, no. Yes or no? Can you answer that? Can you? Yes or no? Yes or no? Can you answer it?
I can't, and no one can. I'm asserting that you can't either.
I don't accept that you know anything about what's possible for people to do. I accept that you think you can't answer it. Thank you.
No, I don't say I think I can. That just slips in the idea that you think it's personal ignorance, right? I'm not saying it's personal ignorance. I'm saying that
you are telling me what you think. You are telling me.
Yes, I am. So, but we're not going to make this an argument of personal ignorance, right? Do you want to have the argument that NSYNC thinks that something's the case and Midnight thinks it's not the case? Because that's an amazing argument.
Dude, look, I pulled what I wanted to out of you. I have to go let my man.
So you've managed to pull out that you just believe something to be a case, and that's amazing.
Yeah, you got me, dude. I'll talk to you.
You got me too. I mean,
wait, I got NSYNC.
Yeah.
When are you gonna add the bot back? You fucking roasted me that it's not working, and you still.
Yeah, I messaged Achilles about it, dude.
Oh, okay, never mind then.
I gotta go. See ya.
Later, dude.
Dude, I usually look at the music, but this was so much better.
What'd you say, man?
I usually listen to music while I play League, but this was so much better.
No, that was pretty good.
I just turned off the permissions.
Huh? For the bot?
No permissions, it's still here. I just had it away from the screen because it wasn't being used.
Fair enough. Did you hear that, Chris?
What is that?
He said he just turned off the permissions for it.
It's back on though.
Is it even on the server though? I couldn't see it on the server.
It is. I just turned it off from display from online members, so it was buried.
Yeah, I have to go. I'll catch you guys later.
All right, bye.
Oh,
You're saying because he could demonstrate it, he wasn't a prophet?
No, I didn't say that.
You said because he had the material. What's that supposed to mean?
That's supposed to mean he had things that make him know, but from
No, he couldn't. He didn't have things that made him know. He did very, very complicated mathematics.
how he know a revelation
He
came.
did very, very complicated mathematics. That's the same as revelation.
By the way, do you believe in bacteria?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
of
think
course
he
I
did.
believe in bacteria.
Okay. No, explain to me, is that solid, or is that, in the middle, or is that shady, or is that not proven?
That's pretty solid.
What? Yeah, it's a conclusion that we can substantiate with sufficient evidence to believe it. That's what it is.
Okay, the same way with minimal gene theory, the exact same answer you gave, the exact same answer I gave to minimal gene theory. Thank you very much.
No, I don't accept that. That's
Are you or are you not saying God can't be evaluated?
Yes.
You are? Okay. So isn't that an evaluation of God?
No.
How so? You just made a statement about him, which you're telling me is true. If it's true, you must have got to the conclusion somehow.
Yes.
Yeah, so the getting to the conclusion is called an evaluation of the thing that you conclude about.
I was given that conclusion because I read the book.
No, but like you evaluated the words in the book to come to the conclusion.